Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to do some router work on this wine bottle that I had made previously for another project. Now when I say another project, I don't video all my little projects. Some I do, some I don't. The idea was to have an oversized wine bottle, just about see it there. Comes in at 6 inches by 26 with a cork on top and the actual shape of the bottle. And I originally scroll sawed out the lettering wine bar, which you can see over here. And we had a bit of a disaster. I knew it was going to happen. I put screws in the back to attach it to the bottle, basically coming in from the back there. And it cracked one. And I thought I'd get away with it. But as you can see. And then the W went at the bottom. That snapped across there. So I basically binned it all. Sometimes your projects just don't work out. It's not the end of the world. But obviously I still had the bottle left. So I'm going to go for option B. And that will be to route out the lettering. There's no way is that one going to snap. So we've got our template on there like so. I literally just put your carbon paper underneath and draw around it. Once you've done that, you're left with your nice pattern to do like so. There we go, we have it now. There's no way this one's going to break. So to route it out with, as always for me, I like to use my CNC bits. These come in different degrees. These are 30s, I believe. But they do have a small Dremel size shaft on, a 3.175mm. So they will fit into a Dremel if you want to use one of the Dremel attachment router thingies, which I've never tried. I'd rather just get a little collet like that, adapter reducer collet. 6.35mm, and that'll leave you slots in there like so. Now that will fit a 1/4 inch router, no problem. And we use this piece to go around all our lines first, just to separate the woods in between the small areas and the side bits here, if that makes sense. Once we've gone around all our carbon lined that we previously put on, we will change that bit to one of these end milling bits, which I like to use these as well. They come in various sizes. There's one of 10 in here. And we can go for the biggest one we've got, because there's nothing too much with detail and nothing tight. And it will be a case of simply sliding out the CNC bit and popping in the end milling bit like so. Set it to a level that we've already set on here, and we'll start taking out the inset lettering. That's the inside of the lettering. If we were doing outset, you've guessed it, it would be the outside of the lettering. So we're going to do inset today, so basically moving all the inner of the lettering. And I think that's about it really. Once we've done all that and cleared it out, we'll get some paint in here, sand it down, and then we might see about painting the bottle itself a brownish greenish, so it looks more like a bottle. And then the actual cork on the end you can see there. Okay, so like I say, if first time you don't succeed, try and try again. Okay, let's start routing this one out. Okay, that's it for our CNC bit. You can see we've gone all the way around that, no problem. Any small area, you can just take it out with the CNC bit. If that's all you have to use, you could do the whole lot with that, no problem. This wood's that dry, it's just coming out really easy. Just remember when you're doing inset lettering, that's the removing the inside of the letters, you want to route up to the line itself. If you're doing outset lettering, we're going to remove all the background. You route up to the outside of the line. Never route on the line. because that will alter the shape of thickness of things and all sorts. One of the troubles I've noticed here is just down here on the end with that knot, there's a little chip popped out there, but we'll sort that out once we get our paint on. And also, if I can just turn it around here, I don't know if you can see, just a minute, there is a slight bevel on this. As I'm routing, you're starting to route there, and I'm having to bevel with the bottle itself, but you work around it. Just cheap nasty fencing wood, remember. Okay, so that's all done with our lines. So it's just a simple case of popping off the CNC bit and sliding in the end milling bit like so. Remember, they come in a pack of 10, so you've got plenty to choose from. I've just picked one that makes sure you can fit into these letterings. You've got no issue with fitting into these little tight spaces. So we'll pop this in the router and literally to set it to the same depth of that one. These are all the same, and we'll start removing the inside of this lettering. Okay, you can see from that we've gone all the way around with our end milling bits. That's come out really nice. Now, it's never going to be nowhere near perfect. Remember, that's just your cheap wood. As you can see from the start of the video, that's where I originally had my 4 screw holes drilled in. But that's another story. But we're stuck with it. So now we're just going to do a general tidy up just inside these. Inside the lettering bits here. The end milling bits are really good, but nothing's ever perfect, is it really? So all I'll do now is literally just go and give it a clean out with a Dremel, a rotary tool, and I have these engraving bits on, and there it's got a flat edge on it, and literally you can just go inside there like so and go around there, just a general tidy up, so it'll tidy up the sides, and at the same time it'll just smooth out this bottom piece if you want to. You can do speckle effect in there, ripple effect, whatever you want to do, but for me, I just do prefer the smooth background. So we'll go around with the Dremel now, then a bit of paper and sandpaper, and just generally tidy it up, and then we're down to our painting side of things. Right then, we've gone all the way around with our Dremel bit. We've made them as smooth as we're going to find them. You can see from that it's okay for what we want. Now, painting wise, I'm going to put white paint in this. Probably the worst colour to use, white. You always have to go over it 2 or 3 times. Just basic painter's touch. These are ideal paints for outside. I'm not going to put any sanding sealer on, any spray on beforehand, and we'll just chance. A lot of your woods, when you're doing paints or sprays, you'll get what they call paint bleeding. Literally, the side walls of the routed out bit you've done, if you imagine this being made of tubes, and these are your tube lines going across, once you've routed out the end, the paint can soak into those tubes, or straws as I call them, and when you come to sand this down, you're not going to get a nice sharp line. So to stop that, you can purchase a sanding sealer, and you would brush that on first should I say, let it dry, and then put your paint on, and hopefully the sanding sealer's done its job and sealed the end of those sidewalls. But I've used paints on this fencing wood before, and I've never really had any issues with the paint bleeding. So I'm going to leave this totally bare, just to show you guys that it's not been touched. And I'm going to go straight on with the white paint, like so. And it's literally just a simple case of brushing it in. Now, it doesn't matter about going over the edges. We're all going to sand this down afterwards, just to smooth it off. So I'll throw some of this white in like this, so you don't have to be overly concerned about it. And you will want a couple of coats on. I think this brush is too big, to be honest, but I'll stick with it. Okay then, that's all our painting. So we'll let this dry. Very quick drying is his painter's touch. And then we'll sand over this just to remove all the overflow of paint that we've thrown on there. Right, that's all nicely dry. A couple of coats of white on there. Now we're just going to use a mouse sander, obviously just to remove all this messy stuff that we've left behind. Just a 120 grit sand for me. So we'll literally clean all this up. Then once it's done, you've got a couple of options. You could leave the wood there and just put linseed oil on and a bit of spray varnish. I'm going to put on the last of this mahogany varnish. It was left over from my beer garden project, I believe. And there's just enough left in there, hopefully, just to totally cover this one a couple of times. It should make it a nice brown colour, like glass, hopefully, like a wine bottle glass. That's the idea in my mind. And plus it'll give it a little bit of a shine to hopefully give it a glass bottle effect. And we'll leave the cork on the end. We'll leave that clear. So, sanding time. Let's start sanding. Okay, you can see from that, that's sanded down nicely. Now you could leave it like this, just put some linseed oil on, or your spray or whatever you want to put on there. But like I said, I'm going to use the rest of this mahogany classic varnish and just basically paint the whole bottle with it, apart from the cork at the end. I'll go indoors and do this now. It's a little bit dusty in this shed, and then we'll come back when it's all been covered and it's all nicely dried. And this little project should be finished. Okay, you can see from that, it's had one coat of the mahogany varnish. It's just still a little bit light for me, so I'm just going to go over it again and we'll darken it down a bit. We'll come back when this one's ready. Okay, this little project is finished. Now I gave it an extra coat of the mahogany varnish. You could have gone for a third one if you wanted to, but that's enough what I want. And it's done the job. As you can see, it's that nice and shiny. Remember, we just salvaged this from a project that didn't quite work out, but we got something out of it in the end. So there we have it, 6 inches by 26 inches routed out wine bar plaque on a overlarge wine bottle. Thank you very much for watching.